All right, welcome back, Robo Nation. We had a little fun rain and lightning event there, but the weather is now cleared, like it does in Florida. Just wait 5 minutes, and it's a new weather system. Haggerty High School's already in the water, starting their runs. I am sitting with one of their teammates right now, and I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves.
I'm Katie Geis, and I'm the captain of the Water Dogs.
Water Dogs.
Yes.
Oh, I like the team name. How'd that name come about?
I believe that was just mentor chosen. We kind of had probably about a month before our first year where we needed to decide, we need a team name and a team video and to build a boat. So that was kind of what we came up with.
Well, I'm going to ask you the cliche question.
Okay.
You guys are a high school team.
We are.
Rubbing shoulders with PhDs and undergraduate students in a team tent. Do you feel intimidated, or do you feel awesome being out here?
I think it's a really good opportunity, and I think that's kind of what we view it as. We've had a lot of lucky years here so far. We're going into our third year, hopefully, to do well as well. But we mostly view it as a learning opportunity. We're out here with universities that a lot of us want to one day attend and maybe join their RoboBoat teams. So being able to do robotics at a much higher level than is offered to us locally at our high school
Ooh,
is
we're getting some excitement
amazing.
right here on the shore. Wow, that operator grabbed it just in time.
Yeah. We've had a lot of near misses today. We tried to go through the dock when we were trying to return to it earlier. It was good.
Oh, wow. Well, I will say, as the person that had to inspect the safety system of all the boats, I was very impressed with your vote, because it was a safety system that was implemented the exact way we wanted implemented.
Yeah, we try and implement all of our stuff directly in hardware, not reliant on any software
High
as
five.
well. So we wanted to make sure that was clear and able to be maintained.
Just don't let Felix hear you say that. Well, good. It's easy. Now, we're actually several minutes into your time slot already. It took a few minutes to get the live stream going, but we went ahead and put Haggerty into the water. So you guys have attempted the speed gates a few times now. It looks like you're setting up for another run.
Yeah, so far today, and we've only gone in the water a couple times this week. So what we've been able to do most reliably is the speed gate. And earlier for last minute qualifications, the reason why we qualified was we got through the speed gate and we were able to return to dock.
Cool.
So I believe that's what we're going to try and do here as a safety net. And then once we do that, try and experiment with some of the other obstacles out here.
Okay, and once again, that's because it's the best run that it's taken, not the last run. So you guys are free to keep running as long as you have time left on the field. There's no risk of losing any points. So that's a very good strategy. Now, that's a very distinctive shape to your boat there. What was the thought behind such a wide and skinny boat like that?
So we wanted, we are maintaining the same whole system, the same catamaran that you've seen for the past 2 years, going into our third this year. And all we've kind of done as far as major design changes is you can see the compartment on the top, which is made out of Nynacore. We wanted to make it as large and wide as possible so that in the future we have the ability to expand and grow as our technology expands and grows. So this past year when we added the Jetson in, that was a lot larger than our previous CPU and our previous computer on board. So we were able to use the open floor plan in order to try and accommodate those changes. So that's why it's as wide and as thin as you can see.
I notice it seems like you have either no thrust or a lot of thrust.
We have a dead band on our motors between 0 and 15%.
Okay.
So what happens is, especially when we're doing the thrust test and it's trying to pull itself out of the water, basically, we go from nothing to a pretty decent speed. And we did have our motors back down to about 66% earlier, so I'm not sure if we decided to ramp it up to try and get the fastest time on the speed challenge today. But trying to recalibrate that might be where some of our issues are coming from right now.
But definitely in go big or go home mode right now, right?
Yeah, we took a lot of pride in being one of the fastest boats out here,
Ooh.
especially in years past. And ITSN came in this year with a really fast and speedy boat on the speed challenge. So we've been kind of watching them, seeing. We're very impressed by their boat. So we know that we want to give them a run for their money as far as speed's concerned.
So is that the first design decision for next year? Is how can you go faster?
Well, we've had like 2.5-inch props on our boat since we first started, and that's turning out as we're getting more weight and implementing more electronics on the interior that's becoming it's not as successful for us. So we're going to try and either expand our thrusters, try and make them bigger so that they have more propulsion, or we have actually a kind of hidden third hole under there just for buoyancy, and we're going to try and adjust that, make it a little bit bigger, or move it forward on our boat to try and adjust.
So that's technically a trimaran then?
Yes. The middle hole is Velcroed on. It's technically removable. But technically, yeah, it is a trimaran, although we're so used to calling it a catamaran, and it is removable, so.
Okay. Was it added for additional buoyancy?
Yeah, that as we expanded and we got heavier, we needed something there, and we didn't really have the time last year to add another hole completely.
Now, Hackerty High School, where is it actually out of?
So we're in Oviedo, so we have Oviedo and Choliota students, and no one's ever heard of Choliota, and very few people have heard of Oviedo. So it's right by Orlando.
Okay,
so we're pretty local.
You're used to this weather, because I noticed your solution to the heat problem is you actually have water cooling on that.
Yes,
on it.
So we have an open system, water cooling. So we have a pump that's right now going down into the lake, and you can see we have a little spigot on the side that is pushing it out, and it's wrapping around mainly our GPS because that's what gets the hottest, but also our CPU.
Okay. What's your source of power for all that speed right now?
Like motor-wise?
Yeah, battery-wise.
Oh, we just have the. Did we go around?
You went through the gate, and you circled the buoy, and you went back to the gate.
I think we circled it more than we needed to.
Yeah.
We just have the 2 lithium batteries, and then we have a third battery connected to our light, which has given us kind of a lot of problems, actually.
Really?
Yeah, as far as thrusters are concerned, we're not really concerned about the power going into them, but our light has turned out to be a big source of a problem this season.
Uh-oh.
We were still trying to pass the safety check on Thursday, so we're trying to get in the water at that point, and that was the last thing we had to work through.
Okay. Now this is a club for your high school.
Yes and no. So all of us pull from our larger Haggerty robotics program, with the exception of a couple recently graduated seniors from our program. But the only people who really do this type of competition, because we start after our normal robotics seasons have ended, are the people who are super hardcore and really love STEM and robotics and want to continue into the summer. So our regular Haggerty robotics program is about 55 people, and this is only a 9-person team. So it's only those who really want to continue into the summer.
Okay. You can tell just we're sitting right next to the shore where it's operating right now. There's some horsepower there.
Yeah, our motors themselves are actually borrowed. So we have 2 alien power motors on our boat, one for each thruster, and we took them from, well, we borrowed them. We didn't just take them from him. We borrowed them from a guy who was working in the innovation lab at UCF, who is working on an electric skateboard.
Ooh.
So
those are skateboard motors?
They are.
Wow.
They're for a custom skateboard, so they are a lot higher quality than you would see on like a commercially built skateboard. And so far they have sustained us. We've had them since my freshman year, since the year we started.
Okay. So what was your role in the team?
So my role this year is, and in the past has been, mostly mechanical. I do mostly mechanical for the larger club we do as well. So I was a major player in building those holes a couple years ago. This year, building and shaping the lid, doing a lot of the sewing, which seems tiny, but it's what keeps our boat waterproof from the top. We haven't yet actually tested in rain. That was the first time. We were getting a little nervous. It is waterproof, of course, and we've done tests to confirm that, but yeah.
Yeah, and you already have water inside of it with that open loop water cooling, right?
Yeah, we obviously make sure that all of those connections are secured, because that's the last thing we want to do is get any type of unwanted moisture inside the boat. We were having really big condensation issues, which is one of the reasons why we have now the water cooling, because we were having such problems with it condensating and dripping down into our motor compartment. And I think we're trying to return to the dock right now, but I think they might have switched over to manual.
Okay. So the goal is to do that until you got a run you like, and then you can take a chance on another task, maybe?
Yes. So I think they're probably going to try and talk to the judges and see where that got us. Because we had an issue earlier where, again, we tried to kind of run through the dock rather than to it. We didn't cut our thrusters early enough. It didn't detect the dock as well as we had hoped the stereo camera would. So we were about a foot away from the dock, and the judge was like, that counts, you could stop it. So
Yeah, it's definitely a boat that might be making some of the kayakers a little nervous.
yeah, it's well controlled, and Shay is a great RC controller guy. He's great at it, but it's got some thrust behind it.
Yeah. All right, well, it looks like they're reconfiguring something, so maybe we're gonna try for a new run.
Yeah, I think they're putting him back out there. I am assuming they took that as a pass speed challenge, but we'll see what they start doing now. Nope, they're going to try and realign themselves and go through again, maybe to get a faster time or return to dock if that wasn't counted.
And again, for those watching, this is an autonomous vehicle competition. There's no one driving that boat once that light turns green. That boat is driving itself.
We're back in RC.
I'm thinking maybe the robot thinks it's a little too hot and wants to go home.
Yeah, we had the motors running for a pretty decent amount of time just because of the rain. We had to take a break for that. So
we just got told from the judges you have 6 minutes left. 6 minutes left for your run.
Yeah, we've done some pretty miraculous things with a lot less time before, so I'm not quite too nervous yet, but we'll see how it goes. We were pretty thrilled to make it to finals in the first place. We were very impressed with our score. We weren't expecting it to be quite that high. So
yeah, it was very impressive. I was glad we were able to offer you a last chance finals to get that run in.
Yeah, me too. We were worried that it was either going to rain or we were going to have issues and that sort of thing, because we really hadn't been in the water. We do a lot of our testing through simulative testing, so the online competition that they actually offer and the simulation they offer for Robot X, we've adopted and adapted to use for RoboBoat in order to test some of our stuff online.
That's very cool.
Yeah,
have you published your adaptation of the simulation?
No, we have it pushed to our GitHub. I believe that we're gonna make that open and visible for other teams who want to try and see it.
Cool. That would be a very useful tool for any teams that are starting out.
Yeah, we would definitely recommend it because it allows us to kind of diversify who's working on what and also optimize our time in and out of the water, because we can't always rely on doing stuff. We don't have our own course at home, so we have the autonomous navigation buoys, and that's all we have.
Where do you do a lot of your testing back at home? Is it like a pond like this, or? So
we use Lake Claire, which is on UCF campus, because the UCF team did RoboBoat for a couple years and recently hasn't been doing it in the past, I think 2 or 3 years they haven't been here. So they graciously let us borrow a couple of their buoys for testing. So normally we'll put it in there, and we've been staying in Daytona, so we've been going to, the pool or a lake that we found near our hotel.
Yep. For those watching, the teams can work on their boats in the pool throughout the night, and typically they trade sleep for more testing time in that pool.
Yeah, we had some of our programmers out until 4:30 in the morning. They went from the Embry-Riddle pool straight to a lake to try and test a little bit more. And I'm pretty sure at least one of them was sleeping on the sidewalk by the time they left.
Oh, man. Hopefully you were gracious and no selfies were taken with your sleeping team member.
Probably not.
Have you found it? Do you guys have sponsors for your boat this year?
No. So what we do is we get sponsors through our larger Haggerty Robotics Club, and the way we do that is we split it among the 4 teams that work during the year, and kind of the leftover gets pushed into RoboBoat. So we don't have any direct sponsors for this competition alone. So whatever money is left over from our season, because we do have 2 FIRST and 2 VEX teams as part of our larger program, gets funneled into RoboBoat. So we normally have kind of a smaller budget than a lot of the teams out here.
And I'd argue for a more difficult competition.
Yeah, I mean, we do have a tendency to, like I said, borrow a lot of parts, so that helps keep our costs down. So that's been a great help to us, and everyone's been really gracious helping us out with that. And of course, RoboNation for giving us the Jetson in the first place was a really big help this year to keep costs down, because we knew we needed a new way to compute some of our stuff.
Very cool. I think if you ask some of the more veteran teams like Embry-Riddle, it's the same philosophy with all the competitions they do. I heard that their ground vehicle just came back and the GPS immediately came off to go onto their boat.
Yeah,
So
we have like a crazy expensive GPS on our boat, but we borrowed it from, I believe, the University of Central Florida. So we technically didn't buy it, but we did buy a package to, make it a little bit more accurate, allow it to be used even for their competitions once they get it back.
Okay. Now you guys have just completed the speed challenge pretty well, actually. Now it looks like it's going out to do something else. Though I see one nervous kayaker.
Yeah, I think we're going to go ahead and take RC of that.
Yeah, probably a good call. That kayaker would thank you later.
Yeah, I think they were backing away a little bit. Yeah, it's kind of nice to see it in like the open water and just to gauge how fast it really can go, because we have pretty nice motors on there. And
your motors are very distinctive, because I think you're the only inboard motor boat, if I saw the other vehicles correctly. Everyone else uses outboard discrete thrusters, but you guys actually have inboard motors with a shaft.
Yes.
That goes through your hull. Was there a lot of mechanical engineering design challenges creating that waterproof seal around your shaft through your hull?
It's a lot simpler than you think. We kind of have an inner team joke that our boat doesn't go backwards because it has a tendency to draw water up the line, which kind of destroys the waterproof element of it. But we just grease it very, very well before we do our runs.
Extra grease?
Yeah, to try and avoid any water getting up through the propeller line and through the brass shaft that's in there.
Okay.
But as far as waterproofing major components, we try and seal with either epoxy or super glue and then fiberglass over it. So the brass tubes that lead down into our propeller lines are fiberglass to our boat to try and create a better seal.
Okay. And knock on wood, you really haven't had any trouble with water?
Not so far this year. Don't want to jinx it, of course, but our biggest issue in years past hasn't really been water getting in that way. It's been condensating. It has been our biggest issue. So though we vastly improved our water cooling system this year, it's a lot more reliable now. And hopefully it's doing its job. We can always, try and track it the best we can. But we had a gentleman come over to our tent the other day and talk to us about a better way to do cooling, which we might try and implement next year, actually.
Okay. That was almost a perfect speed gate challenge there, through the gates, around the buoy, and back through the gate.
I think our return to dock is a little bit where it's having some trouble.
Yeah, maybe 180 degrees off.
A little bit, yeah.
Now, it looks like you have 2 GPSs on there. Is that correct?
Yes and no. We use one as kind of more of an antenna for our more accurate GPS. If that makes sense. It's a little bit hard to explain. So our big GPS that you can't really see, it's then in the internal cavity, uses the Starfire satellite, and there's very few of them, so it makes it extremely accurate. So we use it in conjunction to some of our other sensors. So our MyTie stereo camera, our IMU, our GPS coordinates and the waypoints that you guys provide us kind of help us if we're getting, we're reading on our stereo camera that we're supposed to go, left at this point, but our GPS says, wait, that waypoint shouldn't be until, 20 more feet or something. It helps us kind of spot check our other sensors really well.
Well, it looks like the judges are returning back to the docks. I think that's the end of your run. Thank you for sitting down and talking with me.
Of course.
Oop. All right, RoboNation, that's the end of the RoboBoat 2019 finals. For those watching online, we'll have results posted tonight. Ooh. For those watching online, we'll have results posted tonight to see who won. Right now, we're going to start breaking down the competition. The judges are going to take everything they saw, and they're going to go back and start grading the performance. We'll find out tonight, and you'll find out tonight. So check robonation.org to see the results of the 2019 RoboBoat Challenge.
Thank you.
Good job, Bill. That was very good.